Well, here we go again. 4 weeks ago today, we received the January jobs report. The stock and the bond market since that moment have severely sold off. Next Friday, we get the February jobs report. Let's hope that's more favorable and it doesn't put the markets on their ear for another month during March like it did in February. This week, we're actually going to talk about how much of a stud our 82-year-old president is, and how being an ageist and practicing ageism in the modern era of woke is so not cool. Welcome back to This Week in Mortgage, everybody. My name is Sam Battaglia, your favorite mortgage broker here in California, guaranteed rate in Beverly Hills. Hope you had a great week. All right, our president, 82 years old, is a flat-out stud. He's tougher than me. I promise you he's tougher than you. He did something this week none of us would ever do. So, a few things I realized after Monday. Number one, we are indeed at war with Russia. Most of the Western world is via the Ukraine. The Ukraine got attacked about a year ago, and they needed some help from their friends, to quote the Beatles, and they got it. And looks like we are their best friend, based on Monday's events. Another thing I realized is Biden's uncle's sister knows she raised a real one, to quote Drake and 21 Savage. And ageism is not cool. I don't know how it's acceptable. So, on President's Day, I woke up wondering if the markets were open. I turned the TV on. Markets are closed. I think I wonder this every President's Day. Turn the TV on, and our 82-year-old president is in the middle of a war zone in Kyiv, Ukraine, and giving a speech. Insane. Literally insane. So, let's talk about his day that day compared to my day, for example. He woke up, actually his day probably started 2 days before that. He had to get on a plane, fly to Poland, from Poland, get on an 8 to 10 hour train ride into the middle of a war zone. This is a black ops mission, clearly, into the middle of a war zone. He had about 15 people with him, a few press, a few doctors, a few really tough people, I'm imagining, a couple of advisors. Let me tell you something. When this guy, the president, no matter who the president is, guy or gal, when the president comes to Los Angeles, they roll around with about a 200-car entourage. There is no less than, I was going to say, 1,000 people running around with them when they go to dinner in Beverly Hills to do a fundraiser. This guy went into the middle of a war zone with about 15 people on a train. Think about that for a minute. Would you do that? I wouldn't. No way. He's tougher than me. And I'll tell you this. He got off the train as sirens were going off that there was bombings going on around him, made a speech, basically asked the other guy that they're fighting against, that we're fighting against, I guess, if what's-his-name had gotten after him yesterday. Ended his speech, got back on the train, went back to Poland, and had some meetings. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, his courage and moxie. Really, it's unmeasurable. Our president, much like Feech LaManna and The Sopranos, OG, made on the other side. And if I had to buy him a Christmas present, I would probably buy him the same wallet Samuel L. Jackson had in the movie Pulp Fiction, because I really can't think of anything more fitting. This guy's a stud. And on top of it, he did it all on President's Day. This is historic. I'm a student of history. I've always wondered when I'm watching the History Channel if people of the era, whatever I'm watching, actually realize that they're watching history in real time. Well, we saw history in real time. But our world today is so quick, it's a soundbite for 24 hours and then it's gone. What happened on Monday was a really, really, really big deal, and I'm really, really, really proud to have such a strong leader and such a strong president. Now, I don't care if you don't like him, if you like somebody else, that's all fine. That's not what we're talking. We're not talking about politics here. You have to respect what the man did, because guess what? I promise you, you wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Nobody you know would do what he did at 82 years old. Which leads me into my main point of today. About a week ago, somebody announced that they were running for president. And they were practicing ageism in public, which I thought was insane. They wanted to have a cognitive test given to any presidential candidate over 75 years old. That's pretty insulting. That's actually very embarrassing that that would come out of a serious, well, supposed to be a serious person's mouth. That's ageism. That's being an ageist. All the ists and all the isms that we're all against these days, why is ageism and why is being an ageist cheered and applauded? Disgusting, to be honest with you. So, I have a suggestion. Let's do some cognitive testing. I agree. I want the person who suggested that anyone running for president over the age of 75 to sit down with me, and we're going to watch videos of them from 7 years ago, and we're going to hear what they said. Then we're going to watch videos of them from 7 days ago about the same topic and hear what they say. And I would then have a few questions for them. Were you not cognitive 7 years ago? Were you not cognitive 7 days ago? Were you lying 7 years ago? Are you lying 7 days ago? What's the story? Is the narrative just changing to suit your needs at the moment? Do you really believe in anything? Or are you looking for a cheap soundbite? I guarantee you this one didn't work. Because guess what? People that are 75 plus vote. Did you know that? They actually vote. And I guarantee you, you lost all their votes. Bad political move. Stupid political move. But more so, as a human being, very insulting that somebody can practice ageism in public. So, that said, if you want a cognitive test on anybody, pull up their video from 7 years ago, pull up their video from 7 days ago, and ask them, when did their cognitiveness, which I know isn't a word, when did that leave them? It's either that or they're completely full of it. And I'm going to bet on the latter for that matter. So, if you're an ageist practicing ageism in the era of woke, where people get offended that somebody got offended, that they didn't get offended because somebody offended somebody that actually wasn't offended when they did get offended, how can you be an ageist? Honest to goodness, how can you be an ageist? A few things about age. There's a few things you can't substitute in this world. You can't substitute experience, and you can't substitute wisdom. And those things, my friends, they come with age. And ageism in the other direction to younger people. This is actually a problem. Younger people actually have a lot of energy and a lot of ideas. Don't be an ageist. Don't be an ageist to somebody that's older than you. Don't be an ageist to somebody younger than you, because you just don't know which shoes you're going to be in which day. So when it comes to ageist and being an ageism, let's practice the golden rule, everybody. Do unto others. Be a kind person. Okay, everybody, that is my show for this week. A little different. I thought it was a little bit more important than telling you that mortgage rates went up this week. You can find all of that on TikTok with people pointing at disappearing FHA 3.5% signs. You don't need to hear that from me. Wanted to give you my take on something very near and dear to me, actually, at this moment. Okay, everybody, that is the show for this week. Again, it's Friday. Raining cats and dogs here in LA. I don't know if you can see the raindrops behind me, but they're pretty big and pretty heavy. Everybody stay safe. Be a nice person. Be a kind person. Be good to your neighbor. Do all the things we were told to do when we were little kids. Okay, everybody. That is my show for the week. Once again, thank you for watching. Any mortgage-related questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a wonderful weekend.